Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are now listening to That Infernal Noise podcast, part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Fuck yeah. Hello. I was just reading the numbers on the screen.
They were in English.
You write them. You write the numbers the same in
that
Spanish,
was the joke.
sir. And I said it very white too. Uno.
You said it whiter than you actually talk.
That's fair. That's very fair. Don't shake your head at me in judgment.
It's not really judgment. I'm just shaking my head.
Rude.
That I'll agree with.
So, how's it been going?
I think you know the answer to that question already.
I do.
I don't even know where to start.
I'll give you a second to collect yourself. Take a drink of your soda, which is going to make you burp later. Oh, yeah, it's not me.
I was about to say, yeah, I was like, it's weird. You're more gassy in that aspect than I am. I really don't know where to start with it. I mean, I guess it all started whenever, not when I had my breakdown, but I guess as a result of having my breakdown, whenever that was. I have to put a date to that. So I'm going to go back and look and figure out exactly what day it was, because that day it's important to me now.
That's fair.
But I don't know. Like, I was feeling completely lost after all that shit, which we talked about on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like I've been trying to listen to my intuition more. And like, I need to do something. I need to do something to feel connected, to feel like I'm not insane. And watching Undone further.
God, that was such a good show.
But
Sorry.
it was amazing. It was an amazing
such
show.
a good show.
But it also further exacerbated the shit that I was already thinking. That I'm schizophrenic and this, that, and the other. And while I don't necessarily doubt any of that,
I see when it comes to schizophrenia, I'm not. I know.
I think it's. I hate comparing the two, but I think it's like autism. I think there's a scale to it where because I know I've had schizophrenic moments for sure, with as much as we've researched it and looked into it and seen the symptoms and seen the causes and all that stuff. Like,
seeing things,
you have seen
hearing
how I have been,
yeah,
and it's exact as to what the textbook symptoms are.
Yeah, because I do. I see what you're talking about, but I don't think that it's schizophrenia the way that.
But that was part of what I figured out because of all of that feeling lost and whatever the fuck. I've been trying to listen to my intuition, like I said, and I mean, you saw it. I was sitting here one day working, and it just like fucking hit me. I was like, I need to do something. What do I need to do? And whatever that little voice or the energy from the source or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it was like, go get some books. Okay. So I got up, went into the hallway, looked at all of our books. I picked 3 of them initially. 2 of them by Robert Bruce, Energy Works and Astral Dynamics. And the third one was like a chakra meditation thing. And as I'm standing there, I look over and I see a book that I've had since either 08 or 09 and never read it. And I just grabbed it. It's called The Daemon by Anthony Peake. And I told you, I think it was Friday. Like, I don't want to say that book changed my life, but it reaffirmed everything that I have ever been through.
And things that you're currently feeling.
And things that I was actively going through while I was reading it. And explaining it to you, he did the exact same thing in the reading of the book, because like it just sat there. The book that he was researching just sat there, and then he saw it on the exact day that he was supposed to see it, and da-da-da-da-da. Like,
right.
The whole book is a mind fuck.
From everything that you've told me, and for someone who has experienced talking about you, it does seem to fit together very well.
Because I've always believed, well, not always, but whenever I was younger, I didn't believe in coincidence. Right. It was always, everything happens for a reason. I'm exactly where I need to be, da-da-da-da-da. And I lost track of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how woo-woo I want to get with all this shit.
I mean, it's our podcast, so however woo-woo you want to get.
Going back a little bit, I have always felt that there was something attached to me.
Yeah.
And anybody that spent any time around me knows that. Like, any real time around me knows that. Whenever I was doing music, I even wrote 2 songs from, well, not just from that perspective, but also dealing with those issues. One of them was called Daemon. Daemon.
Same title of the book, right?
Exact same title of the book. And whenever I found the book in the first place, Mandy and I were still together, and we were at Half Price Books, and I was just looking randomly through shit, and it just caught my attention. Like, for some reason, the color pattern caught my attention, and I looked, and it was the exact same name.
Because you had already written the song before.
I had written the one, and then I wrote another one later after you and I had gotten together.
Yeah.
And something just told me, like, whenever I grabbed it recently, something just told me, you need to get that book.
Yeah.
And I did. And I started trying to read it after I got it, and for some reason I couldn't focus on it. So I just set it to the side, and it's been sitting there for 15 years. 14, 15 years, depending.
Yeah.
And every single example that he gives to support his theory of the Daemon and all of that shit, I've experienced in the course of my life. From hearing the disembodied voices to feeling that nudge, that psychological nudge to do something, or seeing the synchronicities, whatever, like, all of it I've experienced. I've heard things, like, physically heard things to where other people heard them too. I've seen things to where people have seen
the same thing,
certain things.
Right.
And it's just...
And I've heard stories, and they have been corroborated by...
And see, I don't like talking about it because I know how it sounds.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
a lot of people would think it's bullshit. And honestly, sometimes, well, not now, but before, I thought it was bullshit. I was like, what if I'm just making this up to make myself special? You know what I mean? It's like, because I always wanted to be special, and I never felt like it, and da-da-da-da-da, whatever.
I feel ya.
But in the process of all that, as I'm going through the book, I think I got about halfway through it, or whatever, whenever I did what I told you I did. And...
yes.
I always felt that the Daemon, or the being of light, whatever it was a negative thing. Mm-hmm. Because in certain instances in my life, I vehemently remember this presence being there, and it was always negative. And not that the presence, looking back at it, it's not that the presence was negative. The
situation you were in.
The situation I was in was...
not good.
Abusive in some form or fashion.
Yes.
And, like, I remember that. And in the song, I talk about that. Like, one of the instances that happened was whenever I was a kid, and it was completely innocuous. It was just there.
Yeah.
Like, the one that I talk about in the first verse is, me being at Maria's and seeing something, because I was asleep on the couch and it pointed toward the back door, the sliding glass door at the time.
Was it the house that they were in before? The one that I had went
the
to?
The one on Bridger. No. It's the one that's over here by West Mesquite.
Oh, yes.
We've driven by it before, and I've shown you.
Oh, okay. So I don't necessarily...
You don't know this house.
Setup of the house. Okay.
Yeah. And, like, I just saw a shadow, and I thought it was Vic, my cousin. Like, it looked like she was going through shit on the table or whatever. And I just remember, like, trying to focus on it, and I was like, I think I told Maria the next day. I was like, Victoria was da-da-da-da, whatever the fuck. I'm like, I don't know what. She's like, she wasn't up. Like, she would have come into our room if she was up. She wasn't up. And, like, okay, that's weird. And it felt, not that my cousin's creepy, but it felt creepy to me. Like, it felt not right. Like, there was something off about it.
The presence being where it was.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I remember it, like, because you'd see a silhouette and you can tell if somebody's, like, turning or whatever, even in the pitch dark. If there's a light source behind it, you could see the turn or whatever. And it looked like it was turning towards me, like its head was turning towards me. And then I don't remember anything after that.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the first instances I had. Another one, I don't even know how old I was. It was at Grandma and Grandpa's house. And I used to have night terrors all the time. I remember running in Grandma and Grandpa's room all the fucking time. I would always go to Grandma because Grandpa wasn't going to wake up. I'm surprised anybody could sleep in that house with how loud he snores. That's a whole nother thing. No, like, and especially once they got rid of the carpet, that shit just fucking echoed.
Oh no,
it was insane. Anyway, but I used to have night terrors, and I remember I was deathly afraid. I hated the bathroom door being open because as I walked out of my room, the bathroom's
right next
immediately to the left,
right,
and it has a window above the tub, so there was always some kind of light coming in or something.
Yeah.
So there was always like this eerie glow no matter what. So as a kid, I hated it.
Yeah.
And I would always get an uneasy feeling walking by it.
Quick question that has nothing to do with this topic. Did Diane live there next door when you were living next door?
Yeah.
Like how
No,
long?
like Diane and Jody lived there as long as I can remember. I don't think that I was alive when they moved in. I think like that's how long they were there. Because Jody went to BA because of him living there.
Yeah.
And that was whenever he was in high school.
Oh, okay.
So, regardless.
Sorry, I know that's totally off topic. But...
No. But it was that and it was the closet. Because Grandma always used to tease me that the kukui lived in the fucking thing underneath the house in the
crawl space?
The crawl space, yeah. So because she just didn't want me in the closet, so that's what she told me.
Is access to the crawl space?
Yeah, no, the crawl space is there. And even once I got older and Grandpa was having me he was wanting me to help with shit.
You're like, nah,
I was like, and I had to like play it off like, oh no, I just don't want to go down there. It's dirty. Like, no, I was still terrified of going underneath the fucking house. And I don't like it now. I don't like confined spaces in general.
Yeah, you don't like one of your biggest fears. I know,
but I'm not worried about the fucking kukui getting me now. I just don't want to go under there. That shit's still like there's still a certain level of fucking oog to it. Yes. But I was terrified of walking past the bathroom. I always wanted the bathroom door to be closed, and it never was because Grandma would always leave that on as a nightlight as I was going to sleep. Okay. Because she would leave my door open and crack the bathroom door, and then whenever she would turn it off, she'd just push the door wide open instead of closing it. Or Grandpa did. I don't know. Whoever did it, whatever. It was open all the fucking time. And there was one time that I walked by, and I don't know what possessed me to do it, because I would never look. I would never even look for fear of what I would see.
Yeah.
And I looked one time, and I still don't know if it was real or I dreamed it or what the fuck ever. It did not feel like a dream.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a dream. It didn't smell like a dream, like nothing.
Yeah.
It felt like I was walking in the house. There was no distortion. There was no nothing. I saw it clear as fucking day.
Yeah.
And I turned and looked like that, and pretty much the exact same scenario that happened at Maria's. You see the head turning, except I didn't black out. I saw it turn, and there was 2 fucking red eyes just looking back at me. And then I don't remember anything.
How old were you?
I have no idea. I
Younger than 10?
Judging from the height that I could see the memory in, I was probably about that tall. So younger than Logan.
Okay, so younger than
probably
10.
about Park's age.
Okay. That's still...
And
I mean, I still do that. Like, okay, you know where our bedroom door is, and it looks straight to the hall, and then you see the wall at the other end of the hall that has pictures on it. Even, like, when I get up to go, and I know exactly the feeling you're talking about, especially not wanting to look, because even, like, I'll get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or I hear something, or whatever. Like, crossing that threshold, like, crossing the door, and, like, just looking down the hall, which I do all the time, it incites that, like...
that primal fear.
Of what am I going to be looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's just a wall with pictures.
And you know it's just a wall
with pictures. What am I going to see
or
right there?
What if that's the moment that Kaylee's up in the middle of the night or something?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
God.
Like, there's a million different things. And that was a whole nother thing, because I had that one experience where I swear to God, I saw fucking Kaylee, and I went in there to go talk to her, and she wasn't fucking there. I was like, oh, great. Anyway, fuck.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. I still, to this day, I make sure the bathroom door is closed every fucking night.
Yeah.
And it irritated you at first. It's irritated everybody I've ever shared a bedroom with. It irritated Mandy back in the day. It fucking irritates everybody. Because if there's a closet, the closet door can't be open. If there's a bathroom door like a master suite, the bathroom door has to be fucking closed. I fucking hate that we have that open part above the door.
Yeah, when we first
moved
in here,
I've gotten used to
that,
and it's not a thing anymore.
Not so
Well, I
much
mean,
anymore.
it wasn't really a thing to begin with. It was just, oh my God, but I'm not worried about shit crawling on the ceiling. I'm worried about shit coming through the door.
Yeah.
Like, that seems a more reasonable thing for whatever reason.
I mean, but if something is big enough to crawl through that gap.
Or worse yet, it's too big and it can't get through the gap, so you know it's just in there. But you could see it.
I'll just stay in the bathroom then. Thanks.
Either way, it's not good.
I'll dig a tunnel through the closet.
Nah, just break the fucking window out.
Oh, in the bathroom.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. That would be the easy
I'd
way.
fuck my hand up bad to make sure.
There's towels in there. Wrap your fist up. You'll be fine.
Nah, I don't want to bloody the towels. But, so that's just a couple of examples. And there's other examples I could point to that I'd much rather not talk about right at the second.
Well, I mean, we have other ones that we could talk about because...
Well, no, I mean, there's even not what you're thinking. Like, there's certain situations where it came up and with certain people at certain times kind of thing. Yeah.
No, I was just talking more about, like, the shit that happened in the Siegelville house.
See, I don't know what that was, though.
I think that one was more meant for me than you.
I think it was, honest to God. And, like, I know that sounds weird, but it didn't feel like mine. It felt like yours. It felt like something I didn't recognize.
Okay, so I know that this one is more so supposed to be, like...
I don't care.
Fair. Do you mind if I share that story? Because that was...
I think we shared it before whenever we did that Halloween episode way back. But that was a completely different podcast, too. So.
Oh, well, yeah. But, you know, I struggle... You know I struggle with...
things of the supernatural nature and...
being meant for me.
The spiritual realm is not. You don't think the spiritual realm is meant for you.
Yes.
Which is not accurate whatsoever, but that's a whole nother.
Well, and I always have to kind of remind myself of this one because, you know.
You shouldn't have to. I don't know how it's not burned into your fucking memory. Because that shit was, like, I've been through a lot of weird paranormal shit in my life. And that one, like, there was no rhyme or reason for it. It wasn't like we were talking about shit. It wasn't. It was literally something innocuous. It was dead fucking quiet and then out of nowhere.
Did the lighter situation happen before the garage situation?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm almost positive it did.
So just to kind of recap, for anyone who has never heard this story, we lived out in Seagoville. We had just moved there. It was February of 2012? Yeah.
Yeah.
We moved out to Seagoville, and someone I know or knew is buried in Seagoville.
On the other side.
On the other side.
Yeah.
It's
because we were closer to the Dallas Mesquite side, and
it was on the just back. Up an exit because we lived off a hall. The next one was a Malloy Bridge, and that's you have to take Malloy Bridge.
Oh, to get across.
You have to take the service road all the way up because of where
you have to go across Malloy Bridge. Is what I meant.
Oh yeah, you have to pass over Malloy Bridge, and
well, still, it's the backside of Seagoville.
Fair. Oh yeah, because it's Crandall right after that. That's correct. So someone I know, someone who is very dear to me.
And then on our wall,
and
right
on
now.
Our, ofrenda, our first year doing it, which is really fun. And thankfully, Kenneth was nice enough to send a picture because I really don't know what happened to that photo album, by the way, because I had other pictures of her.
There's no telling.
But regardless, so someone I know is buried there, and shit would happen in the house, and it was.
It seemed like it was, hey, pay attention to me.
Very much so. Very, very much
and
so.
It wasn't anything menacing or anything like that. It was just, it was at the weirdest fucking times.
Because the way we had it set up, we had a bookshelf that faced the back door, and out of nowhere, it was two of us, it was you and I, and then it was one other person that we no longer talk to, but it was just the three of us. No one was standing,
no one was talking. Like, I think we were all on our phones at that exact moment,
or I think we were standing, I think we were getting up and we were about to go outside because we were all smoking. And we were about to go outside. I think we were about to go in the backyard, and we were nowhere near any of this. There was a lighter. It was one of the tiny Bic lighters that was sitting on one of the shelves, and out of nowhere it flew
and hit that fucking back door.
And hit the back door. And it was a good, 6.5 feet?
6, 7 feet, yeah.
6, 7 feet from where the bookshelf was to there. And then there was another time where we had, like, old Halloween decorations, and I think the dartboard was involved because it fell. And then it did something else. And I don't remember the full details of what exactly happened in the garage. I just knew, like, shit was being weird in the garage. And my first thought was, I need to go visit her.
Because she's fucking with me right now.
Because
she's pissed that I'm down the street and I haven't
and I have not said hi.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, and I remember telling you, hey, I need to go visit. I think I need to go visit. And I think I went either that day or like the next day.
It was the next day, I think. We went, and I think I went with you. I just sat in the car, obviously.
I think you just sat in the car.
I didn't know her, so.
And after that?
Nothing. I mean, certain little things would happen here and there, and I felt shit, but it wasn't that.
No.
It wasn't that pay attention to me shit.
It was hey,
the
fucker.
Shit that's just there kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just, I still don't understand that one.
That one was.
But based on what I know, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she was pissed you didn't come see her. You saw her.
And then
she chilled the fuck out.
Yeah. That's fair.
There's no other way. Like, how do you dismiss that shit?
Yeah. And I am, you know me, I'm extremely jaded. I'm extremely cynical when it comes to people trying to push their bullshit. And that's how I have to
And
put
see,
it,
and that's
because
why
not
I
everyone is
don't
genuine.
necessarily share all of this shit, because I know how it sounds.
That's
You know what I mean?
fair.
And there's very few people who I take at face value when talking about shit like that,
Also fair.
because I've had those experiences and I can tell the difference, I think.
That's fair.
But at the same time, the other part of me wants to believe them because nobody believes me.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I'm kind of torn no matter what. Anyway.
But we also know that there's a bunch of fucking liars out there, that, especially the ones that we've had to deal with. And not even, excuse me. And not even on this topic. They just lied in general about life.
Well, no, those same people that you're thinking about did talk about those instances as well. So,
well, there's some of them we can write off. We can believe it.
the majority of them we wrote off already.
That's fair. So, with the book and having so many...
Well, okay, let me finish telling this. I forgot we went on a tangent.
Sorry.
Because of all those negative experiences that I had, and I felt like it was attached to me.
Yes.
And people that are into the shit, they're just going to be like, you're a fucking idiot whenever I say this, I'm sure. Because that's what I would say in this situation. I took it upon myself I've always felt like I'm just kind of a natural witch kind of thing. Like, I have this innate ability to make things happen if I want them to happen.
Fair. And you've
seen it in action.
I've seen
where it doesn't make sense as to why it would work out, but it still did.
Yeah.
And I think it's just my will over everything else.
I don't know. I've seen it, and I can't explain it, so it is
well,
what
okay.
it is.
An example in that situation, I was telling, this was a very long time ago. This was, about 12 years ago, whenever we were in the loft?
End of 2009.
Yeah. So 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're doing your skeptic shit. And I'm just like, no, I can prove it. And I don't know what possessed me to say it. I just said it. And like most things I do, I feel like it's some sort of channeling or intuition or what the fuck ever. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But there's been moments where I talk about shit and things come to pass, but that's not the instance I'm talking about.
No, it's very much you said something.
I said,
and something happened.
No, I can prove it. And you said how, and I said, wait.
Something's gonna make a noise. And like
as
3
soon
seconds
as I said
later,
it later.
Like it couldn't have been.
And I called it. I said it's gonna be on the roof and it's gonna be it's gonna happen right there. And then it happened exactly how
you
I
said it's gonna sound like someone's gonna hit the roof. Because in the lofts it was like a tin
sort of the tin
kind
roof
of a
thing,
tin roof. And it had like a skylight with the it wasn't a see-through, it wasn't like a window.
It was like frosted. Whatever.
Thank you. But you couldn't see the sky.
You couldn't see the sky through it, which is stupid. What's the point of fucking having a skylight? But whatever.
I don't know.
I keep jumping all over the place. Let's go back. After all of that shit, and I wrote the song and I already have the book in my possession, whatever. I just come to the conclusion that it was evil and that this evil thing was causing all of this
bullshit,
negative shit in my life. Like all of the negative people were being influenced and whatever. So I, in my infinite fucking wisdom at the time, decided to energetically, forcibly bind whatever it was to me and prevent it from doing anything. That was my intention Like, I focused on it. I think I meditated for like an hour, 30 minutes, something. I can't remember what it was, but it felt like that whenever I did it. There was said person in the house who face got pummeled later. And I'm not sure if he was aware of what I was doing at the time, but he was like, dude, whatever the fuck you were doing, it felt like there was something outside. It felt like there was something trying to get in or trying to get away or something. I can't remember how he phrased it. He was like, there was something. Like, I know there was fucking something. And that's why I don't totally discount him in that aspect, but
Fair.
Whatever. So I do that. A lot of things go...
You know what? Real quick interjection. Before I knew you, I knew that person. And there was talk of like being able to make people fall asleep because of energy work and shit like that. And I kind of saw it with one person.
But was it actually happening, or were they fucking hoodwinking you? Like, were they both in on the fucking deal?
You know the person. You've heard the story.
Mm-hmm.
She has the same name as someone in this house. You know who I'm talking about. Okay. And that's who was doing it. So I don't know if there was anything there, but I just made the connection. He was a vampire. So yeah,
psychic vampire. Yes.
So of course.
I fucking said that.
Fucking course. Sorry, I just made that like full connection of everything. Sorry.
Because I said that after the fact. Well, I called him an energy vampire, but
I took it as, yeah, he is, but as something else. Like someone who is just draining.
But yes, but why is it?
Exactly. And
that's
I just
the
now
thing. He's an energy vampire, and he just sucks the life out of fucking everybody. And you saw it happen time and time again with all of us, because whoever was around him for the most amount of time at that time, you see the decline. Anyway,
I'm so glad to be rid of that energy.
So am I.
Oof. Sorry.
So all of that happens. He says that he felt something, yada, yada, whatever. And he and I were always very on that same tip.
Was this in the apartment?
The last apartment, yeah.
Okay.
The flat that we had.
Yeah.
Underneath the staircase, which I always thought was kind of funny because Harry Potter.
Yes.
Where
you made me watch Star Wars. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
And, I mean...
So you close yourself off to all of this since the end of...
It was sometime...
It was about this time of year in 09.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Because that's right before you moved into the loft.
Mm-hmm. And while I don't regret anything that necessarily happened around that time, shit went fucking crazy. Like, my entire world turned the fuck upside down. I didn't know which way was up, and I thought it was bad then, only to have subsequent breakdowns as I got older and realizing that, oh, that one actually wasn't shit. Fuck.
Oh, fuck.
But then that opens up a whole nother can of worms. But life just turned on its head completely for me. Like, I lost my job. Mandy and I were separated. You and I were together. Neither one of us should have been in a fucking relationship at that point.
No.
And it created this weird toxicity loop of everything. And then coincidentally, right after that, everybody just kind of came together, and all of us were like that. It was the weirdest fucking time. There was always a weird vibe in the air.
It was like a Rat King kind of situation.
That's the best explanation for it possible, because all of us found each other.
But it was all through that negative energy.
Somehow.
Yeah.
And, like, just thinking about all
that. It's palpable.
Yeah, like it makes me uncomfortable thinking about how it felt then and knowing I didn't realize it because I had cut my connection off to all that shit.
Yeah.
And I should have seen it. and I have better intuition than that, and all of that shit. What?
I just thought of something like just timeline wise. If you did your binding before the loft, how did the subsequent... Because we were just talking about the conversation that we had.
In that book that I was reading, he kind of talks about shit like that because there was a chick that was on medication in order to prevent the auditory hallucinations or whatever, and they did stop for a little bit.
Yeah.
But her Daemon had this message that had to get through, and it got through the medication, and the fucking thing ended up being right.
I know, that one.
And that's what I chalk those experiences up to. It's because you've seen it where in the period of time from then until what happened this week, you saw those little glimpses where it would come out, and I just loft something out there, and then boom. And then, oh, well, this is going to happen, and boom. And like shit like that. For whatever reason, it still fucking happened.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as frequent as I've experienced earlier in my life. Before that, like right before that, or all the way back to my childhood.
Yeah.
So, all of that shit. I start reading that book this week. And things in my brain just started unlocking. Where...
I think the first thing you came to me with was memories. That you...
No, that was the second thing. The first thing was the... how he was talking about the serendipities and shit like that, where he had the book and it mirrored exactly what I experienced, except it was a much longer period of time. So
yes,
I start reading this book, and the first date he says is, well, in talking about the part that I'm talking about, was May 17th, which is 2 days before your birthday. March, sorry. I don't know why I said May. It's not like I don't know when your birthday is. I'm not that husband.
Maybe because Logan?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Regardless, it was God damn it! It was March 17th. And I was just like, okay, that's not exactly her birthday, so I have to dismiss that one. But the day he finds all of this shit and puts everything together was October 27th of 2000. Mm-hmm. October 27th was Mandy's birthday. Whenever I bought the fucking book, I was with Mandy. I was literally with Mandy in the fucking store buying the book.
Yeah.
And that was my first thing where I was just like, I need to pay attention to everything that he's fucking saying in this book. Because it was like jarring, knowing how long I've had the book, for whatever reason didn't read it. I'm trying to put things together. He's trying to put things together in the formation of this book. And that was the moment that he figured it the fuck out, was because of that date. Or on that date, or whatever the fuck. It was like, so that means he wrote it in the book for a reason. What was the reason? Maybe because I needed to hear it. Like, I know how grandiose that sounds, but it told me I needed to pay attention to the rest of the book. That's what I got out of it. That you were with her. That's her birthday. He's putting everything together. Pay attention from this point forward. So I did.
Yeah.
I paid attention to it. And time after time, story after story, it all seemed like somebody was saying my words that I have said. They were talking about the experiences that I have talked about.
Yeah. Sometimes
ad nauseum. And I've never felt so connected to anything. I've always felt crazy. I've always felt like I was just making this shit up so I'd feel better, or that I wasn't alone, or whatever. And that going through that book made me realize I wasn't.
That you weren't wrong.
I was never wrong. Like, I was right that entire fucking time. And I let my own fear,
Was it fear of judgment as well?
I think it's fear of judgment more so than anything. It's like, Because I know it sounds fucking crazy. Like, I know that. That's the shit that schizophrenics talk about.
Not just schizophrenics, but people...
But you know what I mean? Like, mentally ill people say that same kind of shit.
Well, at least you are not a woman, and they don't still actively give lobotomies.
I'd have been burned as a fucking witch a long time ago. I'm sure.
See, I know that there's the saying of we're the... Like, for the witches that are still about...
Still witching.
Still... Witches bewitching, that they say that they're the daughters of the
devil.
No, the ones that didn't get burned.
Oh,
I forgot what the story or what the saying is.
Yeah.
We're the daughters of the witches that didn't get burned, or something.
We're the daughters of Salem, or some shit like
yeah,
that.
Shit like that.
It's akin to that.
I want them to change that because I think I'm sorry, half the population is male. So it's not just going to be the women, the daughters of...
Well, there...
Because there are magically...
I agree. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
But I think there's more to that.
Just because it was predominantly women that got burned?
No. Women are more attuned to shit like that.
Not me.
That's not true. But we're not getting into all of that. But that, again, that's a whole nother conversation. Women are naturally more in tune to like emotion and the emotional spectrum, so they're able to tap into the higher shit easier than dudes are because of that. And that was the logic for there being more female witches than male witches. And there's a little bit of supporting evidence with that.
That's fair.
So,
I learned sorry, I know this has nothing to do with this. The, word for the trans or the combination of both mahu.
That's okay. I couldn't remember what it was.
And they were trusted with people's children because they had both the masculine and feminine energies.
And they could teach both if they
and they
needed
could nurture fully. So there's that.
And I was the one that told you that fact.
Yes, and I knew that
I just couldn't remember the term.
Yes, I knew there was other terms and other languages for
transgendered, whatever.
Yes. Sorry. I know that has nothing to do with any of this, but it popped into my head, so I figured I'd share.
I could cut this part out.
Or you could do that.
Because it has nothing to do with anything else. Like the other ramblings you could kind of draw a comparison to.
I don't know why that just popped into my head either, but it did. So anyway.
I don't even know where we were now.
I'm so sorry. Damn my brain.
The book, the date, pay attention. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where I'm at.
Okay.
I feel like I just did 50 cartwheels. Anyway, so all of that conspired to just make me pay attention to what was going on in the book. And in the process of it, for whatever reason, I just got it in my head. Well, not got it in my head. I figured it out. And I was like, I looked at it wrong the entire fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you that.
Yeah.
I think verbatim.
I believe so.
I was like, I've been wrong this whole fucking time. And then I proceeded to explain that it was just there. It wasn't there to hurt me. It wasn't the malicious intent. It was the thing that was trying to protect me from the malicious intent. And then I correlated other shit where it's just like, okay, well, that in certain instances where I know certain things happen. Yeah. I can't see it. I can't see it in my memory. There's those black spots that we talked about.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you said it's like Polaroids. And I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of it. And I'm missing film. Like I can remember up to a certain point.
And then after.
And then
it starts
it's the
again.
next day or whatever the fuck. like they show in movies where like it's a horror movie and they end up back in their bed. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Like I've had those moments in my life. And just coming to all of those realizations and having all of these memories that I didn't remember concurrently started like seeping out little by little. And I got it in my head that I needed to apologize and release that. Like literally.
Free it, unbind it.
So I wrote in my journal. It's sitting over my shoulder right now. Like I could see it in the shot. And I just wrote a letter apologizing to him, whatever.
You could view it as yourself.
I don't know how to gender it because it's not a gender though. That's the thing. It's like
I know.
there is no masculine or feminine energy associated with it. It just is.
But I'm going to assume since you are a male that you just say it's a
I'm
male.
also the more effeminate dude you've ever met as far as personality wise. Yes, I'm not wearing fucking stilettos and getting perms and shit and wearing blouses. I don't know why I made it. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. But you get my point. I was like, I'm not effeminate in that way, but I have a lot of feminine qualities. It's like
you do. We have established
wear my emotions on my sleeve more so than majority of women we know.
And the thing is that it's because you were raised by more feminine people. I only had the one person to raise me, and while yes, she was a woman or is a woman,
she was a sewer rat. Like she was ready to fucking kill for whatever the fuck she needed to get. I just dug. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I wasn't even trying to do that. It just.
Okay.
I do love making you laugh like that, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh. She is feral.
Because that's what I was thinking. I was like, but it's so much more than that. Anyway.
So we've established.
But regardless, do you need it? Take a drink of your water. Calm the fuck down. Why does that make it worse?
Oh, okay. I shouldn't have taken over before.
Fuck that. I agree that we did.
Okay, I'm whew. My face hurts. I'm so sorry. That just caught me completely off guard, and I found it fucking hilarious. But we have established that you are...
I'm the chick in the relationship.
It just...
and
I'm the dude.
And at first, like, whenever I was younger, it used to bother me that people said shit like that. And now it's just like, yeah, no, that's what it is.
Like...
One of them, I'm still friends with it to this day.
Just like the other day when we were watching comedy, it was just like... Oh wait, I don't do that, and I'm the wife. Because I do identify as a
me
woman.
that does it,
and you do the.
But it's not like I'm trying to get you to do that. It just I flippantly say something, and then you react and do said thing, and
that's how I was
the joke. We had heard 100 times before that.
We both realized
it clicked at the same time, and we were both just like, "Fuck."
So I understand why you would gender an entity or an energy, because you are male. Regardless of your energies, you identify as a he. So it makes sense that you say he. So I don't think you have to like really trip yourself up about like, it doesn't matter what you call it. It just is.
Do you hear it?
Whatever it is outside.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a base? Like someone's base? Yeah, someone doesn't know how to dynomat their...
Yeah, I was just like, God, this sounds like shit.
You know I say it every fucking time I hear it. Anyway, sorry.
So I feel this overwhelming need to apologize to him. And I just... What?
Do you think that it might... Whatever it is, want you to more so apologize to yourself?
I'm getting there.
Sorry for asking the question
Ahead
of time.
So I feel the need to like apologize to him, and I started crying.
Yeah, you did, because you came out of the room and I was just like,
What the fuck?
you okay?
It's not usually me that comes out of the room crying for no reason.
That's a Nisha move. Hardcore.
And I was just like, I gotta go I need to smoke one of my blacks, dude. And we walked outside and I just started talking about it. And I wrote it down, I was very sincere and I meant all of it. And I meditated on it and I've put my energy into it, like literally put my energy into it. And I just started crying. I was like, and I felt that that's all he's wanted is for me to understand. Like, understand that. And
it does make sense.
Fuck, it's even making me emotional now thinking about it.
That's all you've ever wanted, was to be understood and to be heard and felt.
And it resonated on both levels.
Yeah.
Because I could feel somebody's, you can feel gratitude whenever somebody's grateful for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt that.
Yeah.
And then in turn, I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
part and parcel.
And it solidified that line of thinking that, okay, there's two sides to us. There's this fucking meat sack, and then there's something else that we can't fucking explain or quantify.
Do you think that is what people are referring to when they talk about their souls?
That's exactly what it is, but it's so much more than that. It's not this thing. It's not
as one-dimensional as
it's not one-dimensional like that. It's so much more than that. It only knows you and it knows everything at the exact same time.
But can't tell you shit.
That's not true. We don't know how to listen to it. That's the difference. And that's one of the things that I was learning in the process of reading this book. It's because it was different things and it was just bam, 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 bam.
Does it basically go back to resonating on whatever frequency that
the Daemon wasn't a negative spirit like you would think it is. The Christian church perverted the term and turned it into only a negative thing.
Well, obviously.
The Daemon is
that's
not
what they do best.
Positive or negative according to Greek, where it originated.
Okay.
It was a spiritual self. It was the other side. This is the physical self. That is the spiritual self.
Okay.
That was the distinction.
Before
it was turned into something negative and demons are evil and they're coming for your soul and blah, 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 blah. So I think my Catholic wiring came into play with the fear of it.
That's fair.
If I'm being honest, because at the time that I was afraid of it, I still believed. I was still very devout at the time. So that it could have like correlated the two, not realizing it, just now realizing it. And everything just started making sense. Like memories that I remember having told you and then forgot them.
Right. And there were some that you didn't tell me at all that were new.
That I had already forgotten.
Yeah.
And once I released him, it all started coming back. Every experience that I've had, like, just a bunch of shit. Almost like to show, like he was showing me, like, this is what I was holding on to. Now, this is what I was keeping safe for you until you were ready.
That more of a reassurance in feeling or was it more of a, did you feel bad or
it was
like
it was a combination. Guilt to a certain extent, but more so I just felt bad. I felt bad for doing it. Like, as I was going through the releasing shit, I felt horrible for having done that.
was it more so the act of doing it, or feeling like, or
Like
did it make
I forced
of
the
you?
only thing that was keeping me safe into submission. That's exactly what it felt like.
Okay.
And I also said that it was the one thing that was trying to hurt me.
But you only can know what you know. I mean, you only work with what you know.
And I agree with
presently.
that. But that's why it hurt me. Where it's just like, fuck. And that's been my MO my entire life.
Ah, fuck.
Like, things that take care of me, I take for granted until it's too fucking late most of the time. Luckily, you weren't, and you stayed through all the fucking bullshit. But I've pushed a lot of other people away in that same fashion. I did that to my grandmother. You know what I mean? Like,
but I think she knew.
She knew. She 100% knew, and I made sure she knew before she passed by writing that fucking letter. And I still think that was the best decision I ever made, and I appreciate you for you pushing that to me, because I know I'd be fucked up right now if I hadn't done that.
If you hadn't gone over that one day after work to actually have a sit-down conversation
after
with
that
them.
dream that I had.
Yeah. That, and I think if you hadn't written the letter, you would not be okay with yourself right now.
I agree with that 100%.
And loss, especially for someone who you see as a mom, I fortunately and unfortunately, I'll never know what that feels like, because even when
the jury's still out, but
I have a good feeling
and
about how I'm gonna feel.
However you react is how you react, but I wouldn't discount that just yet.
That's fair.
That's just my opinion.
But I do think that you have I see where you're coming from on how you've pushed.
And to me, that was representative of how he felt. That's what I associate it with. That
it was projecting that part of it.
It was projecting because it doesn't know how else to interact with you. So it gives you...
It communicates the way you communicate, is what you've been telling me
yeah.
from reading the book. And
the stupid thing is, I fucking knew that. And I never... And I swear to God, as soon as I get done writing that shit, there is just this calm and peace that has been all over me ever since. The fucking noise isn't there. I mean, it still is, but it's like way the fuck back there. It like I can hear it echoing. I can't hear it here.
Yeah. They're in the lawn. You're on the stage.
Yeah, where you can like vaguely hear them. You're like, huh? Like I can hear them saying something, but you can't. It's wah wah. That's how I explained it to you the other day. And it's just, it's so fucking weird to feel like I'm a part of something, like to finally feel like I was right after feeling like I was wrong and didn't know what the fuck I was talking about my entire life. It just gave me that validation. It's like, fuck, dude, you have been beating yourself up your entire life thinking that you were crazy, and all of these other people had the exact same experiences. Every single fucking one of them.
And of course, I think that's the biggest lesson, is that it doesn't matter who else believes. It's very much...
But see, that's how I feel about religion and spirituality in the first place.
Thing.
It should be a personal thing.
Because
it shouldn't
even in the
be
Bible,
a out and celebrated thing. You are church. You are the temple.
Yeah, because even in the Bible, in Mark something or another, he says you're supposed to speak to your father
in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah,
yeah.
To close your door, to do
keep
it in
it
secret.
Private.
Yeah,
yeah.
Not to hide it or anything.
It's not for hiding, but it's not for anybody else. It's for you. And that's the important part. And that's why I never understood the whole concept of church, because even when I did believe in all of it, like the Catholic doctrine specifically, I didn't give a shit about church.
Yeah.
You know, and I still believed it. I just didn't believe in the church aspect of it because I felt like it was fake. Like, it's not.
It's a show.
That's not. My connection isn't being in this pew. My connection is everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's a whole nother argument.
And we could do a whole other fucking episode on our feelings about the institution.
But see, the thing is, now I don't hate
religion.
religion the way that I used to. I don't see I understand where it came from. It's an indoctrination, which is a bad thing, but
yes.
It creates the same neural pathways that I've been trying to create with my spirituality.
That's fair.
And once I realized that, again, everything just kind of clicked back into place.
Because then you don't have to deal with the...
I don't have to deal with the reconciliation of never having believed anything.
Or the politics of religion itself. Like, the what's the word I'm looking for? The frills and like all the extra like fancy schmancy things and the
doctrine shit, the doctrine part of it.
Yeah. And then of course the unhealthy amounts of fear they put into all of it. But that's for another time.
But
that's for a completely
that's a completely different thing. Okay. So I just realized that everything that I had been seeing and witnessing my entire life was leading me to this point of reading that book at that time.
Because it wasn't even one of the first ones you even picked. It was the last.
I didn't even consider it initially.
And it was the first one you read too. I would also like
because I knew I was like, I had all of them because I had the 3 in this hand and then I had the other one in this hand. So I put those 3 down and then I set it on top of it.
Was it the more you stared at it, the more you wanted to read it?
The more I felt compelled to. I was just like, fuck. I'm like, okay, fuck it. So I went and I got the audiobook and everything because it's easier. Like, I can read.
Yes, you can.
But I don't, now, at my age, I don't take it in the same way. Hearing it, I can immerse myself in it more. And I used to be able to do that with books whenever I was a kid. I don't know if that's just how my imagination's evolved or what the fuck ever, or devolved, I guess. But regardless, I like listening to audiobooks, and especially whenever the author is the narrator.
Yeah.
Because there's just a different connection to it, and there's a different energy attached to it. And that's why I will always read Taylor's books. I'll always read Smith's books because they do the narration for it. And, it's a completely different can of worms. But I just knew that I was exactly where I was supposed to be for once. And that's the first time I'd felt that. And you heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wanted to make sure Gozer wasn't coming out. It's the first time I felt right. And I don't mean like, oh, I was right. I mean,
you feel comfortable
like I wasn't
in your mind, in your body, in your soul. You feel whole, complete.
And it was weird.
I'm so, like,
because I haven't had like a deep, deep spiritual experience like that where it was everywhere and just everything that I was reading was pointing me back to something else. And it was throughout the entire fucking book. Yeah. And the way I connected all of that shit whenever I was trying to explain something in the book to you, it didn't make sense. Yes. Mm-hmm. Because it was a Scanner Darkly. And then that whole fucking thing. And it was just like...
That was a clusterfuck in and of itself.
But it all directly correlated.
In a good way. It was
That's the crazy part of it. Because it shouldn't have made sense. And it just so happened that the director of that movie is the director of this movie, but whenever he did this one, it was based on this guy's work, and that's the guy that I thought it's just like...
I remember. But I am really happy that you got that, because I know you and I have both struggled with that in life in general. Feeling like you belong somewhere, that you fit, that you are where you are supposed to be. I struggle with that because, I've never really felt that way. Even because I know that you've had a connection with religion, and I went to church and everything, but I never really.
You didn't feel it like that.
Never. Mama did not catch the Holy Ghost. Okay. The Holy Ghost was absent from my soul. I do think it goes back to my infancy, because I think there was a lack of connection in a lot of different places, and it
retarded that connection elsewhere
Yeah.
as well. I would probably agree
and
with that.
I think from an early age, I was already made to be and feel something for someone else. I've always had to play a role. So I think that also...
You always had to be mom indirectly.
Yeah,
or directly.
I had to be something else. I could not focus on myself. So that makes me really happy. Because while I do still want and crave and am working towards feeling like a whole person, that is super exciting for me to see. Like, just the look on your face, the relief in your eyes, the drop in your shoulder a little bit,
not the fucking constant paranoia that I thought I was going fucking crazier and crazier.
Or feeling lost. There's not a lost look in your eyes.
I know.
Anymore.
I know now. And I used to. And you've heard me say that, where it's just like, I don't have an idea. I know.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And then I lost that. And that was not even like directly tied to all the binding and all that bullshit. That was just me.
Life happens, and
it jaded me. But it seemed like the further I got from that point until the release point, it just got worse and worse and worse. And it didn't make sense why. Because it was like, I'm doing all of these things. I'm trying to be more spiritual and more positive and like all of that stuff. And for some reason, this shit still feels like it's not working.
Yeah.
Like I'm being disingenuous and I'm lying to myself right now. And then I do that, and that entire feeling goes the fuck away.
Yeah. And I am where you were at that point, except I have no prior connection to anything that I was knowledgeable or felt connected to. So I think...
Which is dumb, because you've seen the shit. You've heard the shit.
But I've never felt connected to it.
I get it. That doesn't mean it's not connected to you. And that's the point that I've been trying to make in all of this. Is like, just because you can't feel it right now doesn't mean you won't.
And it does. I know it's not a separate entity. It is just me learning myself, because this would be a part of myself. And it's a part of myself that I do not know. Period. End of story.
But see, you had that dream the other fucking night. And I think that means something.
I think you're right.
You dream about shadow people and you try to go and talk to them and interact with them and they run away from you. That's exactly how you explained it to me.
That's not how I communicate. Fuck off.
That's how you communicate with that.
Well, no,
you've been confronted. Well, no, I'm just going from a spiritual perspective, a paranormal perspective. Anytime you've been confronted with real shit, you acknowledge it and then you completely move on from whatever the fuck it is. You don't sit in it. You don't try to figure it out. You don't do none of that shit. You're like, oh yeah, okay, that just happened. Boom.
That's none of my business.
So, and that's exactly the reaction that those shadows had to you.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, but that's what I've been saying.
In all aspects of my life, my mother taught me to be a runner. And we've talked about that. So but it is really cool to see. And it does give me a little bit of hope for myself.
I'd be betting dollars to donuts it's about to come together. I have that feeling, and we were laying down in bed this morning, and what did I tell you?
That everything's going to be...
Besides that.
Well, we talked about a lot this morning.
That if you hear a voice,
talk
back to it.
Yes. Okay, that part. Yes. Sorry, we talked about a lot. You
and
can't just be like that one thing.
Had the other theory about thought and what we hear in our heads and all that shit. And I was like, there's a difference between the voice in your head and the other shit. Because you can stop and you can think in your head and you can hear that voice, but the other shit's still there in the background, so you know it's not the same thing.
Right.
And I wish somebody had explained it that way to me so I could have figured that shit out earlier.
Yeah, well.
But I said that. What was the other thing? I can't remember what it was.
I don't know which part specifically you're...
Just the listening to it, trying to talk to it.
And trusting that more. I know that you were talking about really being
it's not going to be like an actual thought. It's just going to be something that pops in there.
More of an impulse.
Yes. And to lean into the impulse, because that's what that is sometimes.
Oh, yeah. That was, I think, the back end of what I was trying to say, of to trust that.
And I mean, without getting too far into it, like, yesterday wasn't a good day for us.
No.
But then last night was completely different. It was the exact opposite. Like, we felt
there was a lot of
disconnection and friction during the day, and then
coming together and more understanding.
It was
in the evening.
It was night and day.
It was.
As far as like energetically or whatever, and I don't know. It was like I know how fantastic and grandiose and insane all of this shit sounds, but ever since that moment, things have just
been
made sense.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
we understood each other, and you, don't take this the wrong way, you of all people understood that we were doing the exact same thing to each other, and that's part of what I was trying to explain to you.
Yeah. Yes, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know everyone listening is just like, what the fuck are they talking about?
It doesn't matter. They want the fucking tea. I'm not giving it to them.
We ain't sipping tea today.
Well, it's our tea. Why the fuck would we tell it?
That's fair.
We're not those kind of people.
It's none of your business. If she want to be a freaking, sell it on the weekend. Sorry.
Okay, I should take edibles before we do this, and you shouldn't take edibles before we do this.
I'm just saying. But, yes, I do see a level of understanding. And you're not going to believe me. Last night, you were doing something, and it was during a time where we had our conversation, and it was just a spot where we were not avoiding each other or anything like that, but we weren't just having a regular...
We were nonverbal.
Yes, it was a very nonverbal moment. And I had gone to the bathroom because I had to go pee. And you were listening to a video. And I don't even remember what the video, and I just remember hearing the word understanding. And
like your brain picked all of that out of anything you've heard.
Yeah.
But you don't believe in shit like that.
So mad. If I could okay, this is going to sound gross, but I kind of wish we had a camera in the bathroom just so you could see what
that exact moment.
Yes. To everyone, I do not want a camera in my bathroom. That's gross. I don't want that.
I don't want a camera in our bathroom for you or me. That's fucking disgusting.
I'm putting that out there. Anyway. And all I said, and then I talked about this with you before about not feeling understood. And I was like, I was pointing, and I was just like, and I was mouthing words, and I was like, well, whatever the fuck is out there. And these were my exact words.
In your
head. I mouthed them.
Oh.
I mouthed them because I couldn't say them out loud, because then you'd be like, what shit are you talking in the bathroom?
Then you would have been talking shit in the bathroom.
And so I was like, well, whatever the fuck is out there that's supposed to be helping, can I feel understood? Fucking please. I just want to feel fucking understood. And then, like, the rest of our night happened. And I felt fucking understood.
The universe is always talking. We're just not always listening. That's how I truly feel. It's just.
But I was very much an angry old man shaking his fist at the sky while I was.
I can understand that. But I mean, that same thing happened whenever I've told you, whenever I've had those moments where it's just like that one word pops out at you, or you hear song lyrics that you've sang a million times, but for some reason it hits different.
They
like,
do.
What the fuck is that? Why does that happen? Because it's at that exact moment that you need to hear whatever the fuck you're hearing, and you hear it in a different light. Like,
okay, maybe
I don't
maybe
care
the
about
universe
religion.
doesn't hate me.
I don't give a shit about any of that. It's like, we don't understand this shit any more than it understands us. Because we don't know how to function as a collective consciousness, as a unit. We don't know how to do that.
Humans? No.
We know how to function as a person. Not even as people, just as a person. Because we do it every day, so obviously we know what we're doing.
But of course, that doesn't take into account how someone else
How do you
is
understand?
a person.
How, as a person, do you understand what omnipotence is?
That's fair.
Omnipresence. Omniscience. How do you explain that to a human being and have them truly understand it? You can't.
You can understand the definition of it.
You can understand the definition of it, but that's not understanding what it truly means. It's unfathomable. That's why that's a word, because you cannot fathom it.
That's fair.
But if that's how we are with the collective consciousness, how in the fuck is the collective consciousness going to know us better? It knows what's going to happen, but it doesn't know us. It doesn't know how to communicate with us, because they're
on singular level.
The consciousness level is observing through our eyes. That's how they're experiencing this 3D reality.
That's fair.
So it only knows what we show it.
And we only know how to show it an individual.
In an individualized state.
Because we are individuals.
So it doesn't understand us any more than we understand it. And our goal is to try to meet in the middle somewhere, to where I'm hearing it, it's hearing me, and it's a symbiotic relationship instead of the chaotically energetically chaotic. I don't know why I reversed that. And just creating that division and that negativity and shit.
Now, just to kind of close out, because your journey with the spiritual realm level started as a kid with religion.
It's been ongoing my entire life. It's something I've been looking for my entire life.
That's fair, but it started
as a child.
As a child going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you are speaking about now do you think this is what everyone is supposed to be getting out of church and religion?
Any of the religions,
organized religion.
This is what you're supposed to get out of it. You're supposed to get that connectivity to it, the understanding part of it.
So, and I'm just throwing this out there as like a quick kind of ending question, and do you think that if everyone understood and respected just other people calling what they believe something else, that the vast majority of wars and conflict would end?
I don't know how you could not think that.
Okay. Because I really do think, and it kind of goes back to the
it all
feeling
stems
understood.
From that same thing. It's ideological differences that separate us.
Yeah.
Whenever the ideology isn't even that different.
No, it all comes from the same.
It comes from the same place. It's what you do to it. It's you're viewing the exact same thing with your lens of perception. If you're a jaded, cynical fuck, you're going to get something negative out of it. That leads to all the religious idealists and all of that shit. The zealots on any side, Muslim, Christian, whatever the fuck.
Yes.
They got the wrong thing out of it. But then there's people like our brother-in-law. There's people like my grandmother who religion truly helps them on a spiritual level and helps them heal and helps them be. And they don't do anything negatively to people. They are accepting of whoever the fuck it is for whatever the fuck
They
it
are
is.
living by example.
And I throw my sister in that too. I just mean because he
was in a different
spot and you can see physically how it's changed him.
Agreed.
That's just my opinion. Maybe it's bullshit. I don't know, but
then he's got a soft hold.
Correct, but I don't think that's what it is.
I don't think he's that good of an actor.
He's pretty dramatic.
He is, but not in that way.
But regardless,
I call him my sorority sister for
all the
fucking
time.
reason.
All the time. But all of this is the same thing, and that's the biggest part of it that I realized. It's like we're just calling it different shit.
Yeah.
And I had that conversation with my mom. I had that conversation with my sister.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I think the same things you think. I just don't call it the same thing.
Yeah. And I have my own.
But even you've come a long way, because whenever I first met you, you were a staunch fucking atheist.
Yes.
You refused to believe in anything. And
well, I think I was semi-justified.
I'm not arguing that, but you felt that and you truly believed it because you didn't have a connection to anything.
No.
What happened? You started getting a real deep, meaningful connection, and then all of a sudden, like, you're not religious, you're not super spiritual or anything like that, but you refuse to call yourself an atheist now.
That's 100% true.
I think there's something fucking to that. And it has to do with our connections to each other. And the more that I've gone on and you've gone on, we've tried to repair those connections.
Yeah.
And fix the shit that's broken with us.
I can say that while I do not claim to be an atheist, especially as I was before.
I know.
I know for sure
there's something.
There is something, but I know
you don't know what that thing
that
is.
I will never know, and no, I do not think it is the organized religion version of God. And I don't think I will. And I
Yeah, because the organized religion God, there's always something corporeal attached to it. Like, we were always made in his image. It's like, what if that meant energetically, motherfucker? Like we have this other side to us that is in this vibrational plane just above ours, and that it's tied to us. So we can't see it, but it's always there.
My biggest thing is, why are you punishing us for giving us something to use?
And that's why I don't think, and that's the reason I have a problem with it. It's like, I don't think that version exists.
That, and I think that the organized religion, the shit that happens to children, I'm sorry. That part too. Sorry. That's the only other thing.
But that's men perverting shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's a completely different argument.
Yes.
But regardless, like, we're supposed to all be in this shit together. And all anybody tries to do these days is further divide us. And you see the segments of the segments of the segments.
Yes.
At this day and age. And it's just like, we got to stop fucking doing that shit.
We're all one.
It's like, I've never met or talked to the author in that book.
Correct.
I feel like I've known him my entire life. The case studies that he was talking about, I feel like I've known them my entire life.
That's really cool.
Because of shared experience.
Yeah.
Like, what else matters? Like, we all have these shared experiences. We all have the same experience.
Yeah.
We just don't all see it the same way.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. And that's how I think that's something that I might be missing, is just feeling that I am seen in other people's experiences, I guess. And I haven't really seen
how you're seen.
I don't see me being seen or represented or brought to light. And pieces, yes, but as a whole, no.
No, I don't agree with that. But I don't agree with that. So
I do see, like, you and I, we have similar background things. But the amount of shit that's also layered on top of the amount of manipulation and mental abuse and lies and all that shit, like that much I've never spoke to a person who had that much, and I'm not trying to diminish or disqualify anyone else's trauma, but mine is fucking layered. Like,
maybe that's why it's taking you longer to work back to it. And
or am I out of line saying that?
It depends on who you talk to. Like, honest to God, like,
it would be
it's
based on someone's perspective.
Exactly.
It would
like
be
if
based
they
on...
haven't been through shit, they would agree with you. If they've been through shit, then chances are they're going to think they've been through more shit, because that's just how people work.
That's fair.
They think if they went through it, it's the worst thing ever. But other people are like, ha, drop in the bucket. This is what happened to me.
That's fair. And see, but the fucked up thing is that I'm usually that person that says, well, and then 9 times out of...
But see,
no?
You know that from your experience with the people you've come across.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying.
Like, we've all heard stories that are 10 times worse than yours.
Fair.
That's my point.
But
it depends on who you come across.
That's fair. That's fair. Like,
and whenever you put
stories.
it in that perspective, it's like, okay, it could have been worse.
Also fair. Yes.
And that's how I try to look at everything. It's like, yeah, the shit that I went through was fucked up, but it could have been worse, and it wasn't. I need to be thankful for that part.
That is very true. But
like, I should be dead in a gutter somewhere for so many different reasons, and I'm not.
That's fair.
Like, I'm thankful for that.
But I am also thankful that I have you to understand what I'm going through currently. And the fact that you found some sort of peace, internal, and like
39 fucking years later.
And I say peace of mind, but I know it's not.
It's so far beyond that, dude. And I hate saying that because it sounds douchey or whatever. And everybody makes those fucking, oh, I'm spiritually awakened and I'm so much more important than you. It's like, anybody that actually had a spiritual awakening
would know that they're not better than anyone.
Does not think that they're above anybody.
Right.
It's the exact opposite. We're trying to bring everybody to the same place and the same vibration and all that shit. Like, I don't give a fuck if you're making fun of me. I just don't want to deal with you.
Yeah. And I know I'm going to use the word peace of mind or the phrase peace of mind, but I haven't even gotten there yet to what that connection feels like. And I already know it's not just peace of mind, because I know what my body craves.
Mm-hmm. It's that missing.
It's on a molecular
part.
level where it's just like,
it's on an energetic level that you can't explain, complete. But you feel that absence in it.
Yeah.
And some people associate it with God, and that's fine. And that missing piece is God, because it's all the same thing.
Yeah. Someone's going to call it God. Who's going to call it Allah? Who calls it...
Yeah, exactly. I call it the fucking source.
Whatever.
It's really hard not to call it the Force, but...
Call it the Force. Who gives a shit?
No, because it's the source. It's the source of everything. All information, all emotion.
Okay, fair.
All creation, everything. That's why I prefer to call it the source, because the Force is only one part of the Star Wars galaxy.
Also fair. Okay.
Yes, it binds everything. But anyway.
Yes. We could do a whole other episode on that one.
I have.
Fair.
That was my May the 4th episode.
Oh, yeah. That's right. True. But I do have a little hope now, and I think that is at least something to feel not so fucking alone. Like, everything's gonna be okay.
It will be. I've told you that.
I don't know.
How often am I wrong? Realistically, how often am I wrong? And don't...
Maybe about 20% of the time. 8 out of 10 times.
That's pretty goddamn good batting average, I think.
Yeah.
Because you don't... The thing is, you don't always know how to interpret the shit. Because there were certain things that I called previously, and I saw them, but I saw them incorrectly.
You saw it from a certain perspective.
Yeah. And it wasn't involving...
A certain point of view.
Yeah. And that irritates me because it's such a cop-out. But at the same time, it's like, that's the perfect line to add to it because they have to change so many things. But anyway.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like, that's how life is. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know what we don't know. And then new information is presented, and you're like, oh, I've been fucking wrong this entire time about whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because I saw it from my point of view. From this other point of view, oh, I was the asshole.
Whoops.
And I think that's the key, to figure out that we're all assholes and how not to be assholes anymore.
That. Jot that down. Note it. Stamp it. Do something.
And that's how I try to live my life. I try not to be, well, what I used to say, and I don't really say it anymore, is like, just don't be a cunt.
I mean,
I feel like that's a little abrasive now, which shows growth on my part.
Accurate, though.
Yeah, but just don't be an asshole. Like,
that's fair.
Don't embrace being an asshole, because you're just an asshole. Like,
I know that
you can still be a loving person and still be kind of mean.
Yeah,
you don't have to be an asshole.
I know that people say, it costs $0 to be petty. Well, it costs $0 to be kind to someone as well. So,
and I would argue that we need a lot more kindness in the world as opposed to the pettiness.
Yeah. Or just an ounce of fucking understanding. And I think
it's like the balance of the force. Like, that bitch was never in fucking balance in the entirety of the movies. And we just had this argument.
Yes. Well, no.
Well, discussion. Excuse me.
It
wasn't an argument. I just ranted
at
you for 20 fucking minutes. Yes, I know.
That's a big difference. It's a huge difference. Don't listen to him. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing with that, and thank you for giving me a little bit of hope for me on a personal level. It does help. What? Why are they screaming?
Is it a new hope? I can't believe you didn't see that one coming. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you like this episode or know someone who would, please help us grow the show by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Keep up with all episodes on Buzzsprout or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Tune in next week, folks. Same that time, same that channel.